Hi there, Amazon versus Alibaba. Which one will be a better performer in the next years? Let me know in the comments. If you look year to date, Amazon down 16%, Alibaba up 40%. And which one will deliver a better return for your investment in the next years? This is the most important thing. And to do that, you have to compare their businesses and also to see their growth rate, their future growth rate. Now, if you compare Amazon, their business model, with Alibaba, it's obvious. Amazon is the best one. There is no doubt. But, you also have to look at their fundamentals to understand their segments and how they operate. First, you start with Amazon. You look at it, you see that they have 3 segments: North America, International, and AWS, right? And then you look at Alibaba. They also have China e-commerce, cloud, international e-commerce, and other services. So to compare those 2 companies, you have to take segment by segment. For instance, international from Amazon, $142 billion in revenue, with Alibaba International. Here, they compete directly. And you have to understand how they operate and what are their advantages. For instance, Amazon, right? International. Revenue for the last 12 months, $142 billion. Operating income, close to $4 billion, $3.8 billion. Look at Alibaba. By the way, they report their numbers in renminbi, so you have to convert 102 billion renminbi into US dollars. That means, at the current price, Alibaba made for 2024 $14.1 billion in revenue. And their operating profits, as you can see here, adjusted EBITDA, were with minus. So for the moment, Alibaba makes no money. Now, if you go to their websites on Amazon and Alibaba and you want to buy a product, for instance, a mic, a mouse, you will see the difference. Amazon charges a higher price than Alibaba. And here you have to think in the long term. Which platform will attract more users? So you have to be very careful because here they really compete directly. Then you have another segment where they compete directly, and that is AWS, their cloud businesses. Amazon, the leader in this market, cloud computing, $107 billion the last 12 months, operating income close to $40 billion. So operating margins around 40%. Then you look at Alibaba. Again, look at the revenue for Cloud Intelligence Group. Take this number and convert it into US dollars. This means $14.6 billion in revenue for 2024. And adjusted EBITDA, they barely made $1 million. Of course, the final earnings may be lower. And now we compare Alibaba Cloud with Amazon Cloud. And you see the difference, more than 5x in revenue and operating income, 40x, close to 40x. Now, that's why the market cap of Amazon is close to $2 trillion and Alibaba close to $300 billion. So there is a huge difference. Now, can Alibaba reach a market cap around $2 trillion? Well, that won't be easy. Because here you can see the market share for top cloud vendors or providers. Amazon, a market share over 30%. They are the leader in this industry, cloud computing. Microsoft, market share about 15%. Google Cloud, a market share between 5 and 10%, let's say 7%. And Alibaba, what is Alibaba? You have to search more for this. Alibaba Cloud with a 4% global market share. So they are in the 4th place, and that's great compared to other Chinese companies. And here you have 2 things. First, Alibaba Cloud has more room to grow in other countries to gain more market share from 4% to 8% if that happens. they double their revenue from 14 billion to close to 30 billion, and maybe their margins can get higher, as it happened with AWS. You see a huge increase in their operating income over the years, and their operating margins are quite high, 40%. But now you have to think, if Alibaba Cloud is allowed to operate in United States and also Europe, because as you know, there is trade war between the US and China, geopolitical tensions, and I don't think that any company from the United States will want to store or use a cloud provider from China. If you read the news and their directions, what their government wants to do, you'll see that they won't allow this. They will never allow a cloud provider to offer services in the United States. I mean, I don't think they want to do that, even if their prices, Chinese prices, will be lower. I don't think that. And Europe, what can I tell about Europe? If you watch Olympic Games, Alibaba was there. They offered their cybersecurity services to France. So, in the future, Alibaba might have some collaborations with Europe, and then their market may be Latin America, Asia, and Africa, and of course Russia. But here, those economies, they are emerging markets. They have to develop. To increase the revenue for Alibaba Cloud, they have to grow a lot. Because when you compare Amazon with Alibaba, not only compare the two companies, but you also look here at the GDPs of those countries, United States and China. The difference, $10 trillion. China's GDP for 2024, $18.2 trillion. United States, $29.1 trillion. So it's quite a lot. And if you look at the growth rate year over year, United States last year had a higher growth rate. Now, the expectations for China is 5% over the next years in their GDP growth. United States around 3-4%. It depends on their economy. More recently, the growth in their GDP dropped in the first quarter. Now, the size of China market is quite huge. So Alibaba for sure can increase their market share from 4% to 8% global market share. They can double that. And then you have to think, what will their margins be? Because if you listen to the conference call, Alibaba conference call, the management said that they won't be able to achieve those margins that Amazon achieved. 40% operating margins. Their margins will be lower. So, AWS versus Alibaba Cloud, AWS will continue to grow, maintain their market share, and they'll continue to make more money in the future, for sure. Alibaba, of course, they'll continue to grow, but they won't be able to reach a market share close to Amazon, 30%. They won't be able. Because, as I said, geopolitical tensions. You have to understand this. So, for the moment, Amazon AWS Cloud is protected against Chinese competition. Then you have to look here in our national segment. And here you have to understand how they operate. Because Alibaba can grow more here, quite a lot. And Amazon, as you can see, their operating margins are quite low here because of the competition. Not only from China, for instance, Alibaba, Pinduoduo, Shein, and other Chinese companies, but also in every company Amazon operates, they have domestic competition. For instance, Latin America, maybe you heard about that company, Mercado Libre. Europe, same thing. In every market, in every country, you have domestic competition. You have a domestic player, which holds a big market share, a large market share. So that's why they compete directly with those domestic companies, and their margins won't be that high in the future, for sure. The revenue will increase, but the margins will continue to be low. Because, let me tell you something important. Amazon incorporated in the United States, right? They offer their products on their platform. But they have to source those products from China. And you have shipping costs, logistics, and so on. And it's hard to achieve that efficiency, to increase your profit margins. When you have this long distance, and you have to pay people to work for you, you have to deal with regulation in every country, especially in Europe, and so on. Now, Alibaba has to do the same thing. The same thing. The only difference between Alibaba and Amazon is that they are close to China. Alibaba is close to China. They have better relationships. They understand the culture better. And here, Alibaba has an advantage. And in the future, for sure, they will continue to grow their international segment. And if you look at their growth rate over the years in revenue for Alibaba, here, international segment was quite high. 2024 with 2023. You see here, revenue 46%. Amazon is struggling to maintain their position. Because as I said, if you go right now on Amazon International and try to find a mouse or keyboard, and then you go on Alibaba, AliExpress, you will see a big difference in their prices. Amazon is charging a higher price than Alibaba, and this is not sustainable in the long term. So here, Amazon may lose its position, their leading position. It will be overtaken by Alibaba and other Chinese companies. Now, of course, this will happen international, as I said. Europe, Latin America, and Asia, and of course Africa. In the United States, they won't have any chance. Maybe after they will make a deal between the US and China to lower the tariffs, maybe Alibaba can enter this market. But believe me, they won't make high profits. If they compete, then their profits for both Amazon and Alibaba will be lower. And that will be bad, quite bad, because instead of paying dividends to shareholders or doing buybacks, they compete with each other. And they reduce their profit margins. So here Amazon can face a lot of problems in the future. And now you have to compare, as I said, which company will deliver a better investment, better return for your investment in the next years, Alibaba or Amazon. And now you compare, as I said, you look at the GDP, country's GDP, difference $10 trillion, and then you look here, international segment where they compete, Alibaba 14 billion, Amazon 140 billion. So who has the highest chance to grow more in the future, Alibaba or Amazon? Alibaba can easily double their revenue from 14 billion to 40 billion. But Amazon from 142 billion to 300 billion, that will be harder. So the odds are in the favor of Alibaba. And for AWS, again, look at the revenue, 14 billion, Amazon 107 billion. For sure, Amazon will double their revenue here. And then you have to ask yourself, what will their profit margins look like in the future? Because they might get lower if they face intense competition. And Alibaba, here, for sure they can double, triple the revenue and profit margins, and their final earnings to grow higher from this level. And when that happens, you have an increase from 1 billion to 5 billion. The stock price, the return in the stock price will be higher than Amazon. Because Amazon continue to grow, yes, but their increase, their growth rate won't be that high. So Alibaba has a better growth rate. The outlook for the growth rate is higher than Amazon for the moment. You see a market share of 4%, Amazon 40%. So from this level, 200, close to 300 billion. Alibaba can grow more in the future. The stock price can increase higher than Amazon.com. So this is my take on Amazon versus Alibaba. Amazon is a better business. They have a better business model than Alibaba, but their future growth rate is better for Alibaba. And by the way, if you want to know when to buy those companies, when you have a margin of safety, and when to sell, then you can join my membership. Go to my profile, press join, and then scroll down to choose the level you want. I have 3 levels. For instance, Titan Investor, you have access to my portfolio, what I buy, what I sell. Then I have an ongoing investing course that will teach you step by step how to take advantage of those companies, especially when they are down, something like this, and have a return over 200%. Then I also have another level, Spartan Investor, where you have memory-only videos and business valuation, what's the fair value of a company and what price I have to pay. And then Gladiator, member-only videos, and priority reply to comments. Every time you have a comment, a question, you can ask me, and for sure you will get a reply. Plus, exclusive, if you don't know anything about investing, or you need help to analyze a company, or you are a beginner, or maybe you are an expert but you want a different view about a company, you can join my exclusive level, where you have 1 hour coaching call with me, where you can ask me anything you want about investing. By the way, you also get access to my portfolio and investing course and all the levels, all the previous levels. So, if you think that this will bring you value, 1 hour coaching call with me, then you can join this level, exclusive level. To do that, press join, send me an email, and then you can schedule a meeting. 1-on-1. 1 hour, you can ask me anything you want. So that's it for this video, and if you have other questions, please let me know in the comments.